podcast. Hey guys on Facebook, what's up? So you're listening to Dream Chasers Radio right here with me, your host Yaya Diamond. I am taking live questions right here on how to start a podcast. So if you've ever wanted to start a podcast, now is your time to ask me. I've been doing podcasting for many, many years. I have been doing podcasting now, so it's been a long time. So if you have any questions on how to start a podcast, now is the time to ask. Let's go ahead and get into some cons of starting a podcast. So basically, there's a few things that people don't realize that you have to do. The first thing you have to do is you have to study. You have to study. If you don't study about your guests, if you don't study about your subject, you are dead in the water. Before you even begin, you're dead in the water. Why are you dead in the water? Because you have to know what you're talking about to do a podcast. I'm just saying. You got to know what you're doing, okay? All right. So if you don't know what you're doing to do a podcast, you have a favorite subject that you want to talk about. That's great. That's a good way to start. A favorite subject of what you want to do. However, the con is if you have a favorite subject, but you don't know enough about that subject to have an entire show built on it, because this is a radio program. I think that people don't realize that podcasting is a radio show. It's just online, but it's your radio station. It's yours. So I'm taking phone calls. If you're calling in today, it's 347-855-8209. 347-855-8209. I rarely do this. So if you have a question about being a podcaster, you need to ask now or forever hold your peace, because this won't happen very often that I'm online doing these live shows. Hi, Ray. Yeah, I love you. All right. So the con is that you have to study, which means you have to put time into your radio program. This is your radio show. It's a radio show. You are going to be a host of a radio station. Just because you formulated it, just because you came up with the idea, doesn't mean it's not a professional thing that you have to look after. Okay, so that's the first thing. You have to study about the subject that you want to go after. That's a con. It's also a pro because you become very good at it. However, it's a con because you have to become very good at it. So that means that you got to study. The second thing is that you have to find a host, a place where you want to be to host your station. There are hundreds of places to do this. Hundreds. And so I found my place, and it's always been my place. And I've added on to it, but I've noticed that this is the place I love, because right now, what I want to do is I want to jump on. I'm simultaneously doing this. I'm on my radio station live, and I'm on my Facebook page live. I'm doing 2 different broadcasts at one time, and I can do that right here on this platform that I'm using right now called Blogtalk Radio. Blogtalk Radio gets a bad rap. I got it. They used to be horrible. In the beginning, they were just starting out, but they're a pioneer place where you can host your podcast, and they're great at it right now. So if you have the free program for Blog Talk, it's 15 minutes, and then after 15 minutes you black out. It doesn't mean that you're blacked out completely. You can continue your radio show up to 30 minutes, and then it will air itself after a while. Okay, so but this is a place, like there's all kinds of places, guys. There's Buzzsprout, there's Podbean, there's Libsyn, there's Live 365. There are so many places. So I'm going to give you the gist of it all. If you're just going to do interviews and a occasional how-to or things like that, you're going to have to look into all of the stations where you can either broadcast live and upload, or you can just broadcast live or upload. It doesn't matter. You just have to figure it out for yourself. Hi, Jose. Hi, Julie. Hey. Hola. Hola. Muchísimas gracias, Jose. All right, so you have to figure out what you want to do with that. However, I'm going to warn you right now, if you're going to play famous music that's out there, if you're going to DJ, you need to be with Live 365. You have to. You have to splurge on that. I'm going to tell you why. Because they will come after you for their royalties. Hello? It's a radio show, guys. This is the cons of having a podcast. If you're going to interview and play the song one time, then they understand you're not paying them. This is an interview. They're giving you the song to play during the interview. It's a sponsored place. It's a promotion. However, if you're going to be a DJ on radio, you need to sign up with Live 365 because they're going to be the ones to actually take the money that you're going to pay them, and they're going to go ahead and pay the artist for playing the songs. So you are legally paying ASCAP, BMI, SESAC, and any international writers and composers association so that you don't get sued. Hello, it's a radio show. I have to say that. It's a radio show. You don't want to get sued. You will get sued. You will. Okay? That's no thing about it. They will find you. And if you're playing it a lot and you're not paying them, they're going to come after you. A podcast is different. Okay? So if you're Live 365, that means that you're broadcasting 365 days a year, 24/7, music or whatever it is you're broadcasting. If you're going to do music, you do have to go with them. If you're not going to do music, if you're just going to do interviews and you're going to do talk shows and just things like that, you don't necessarily need to have 365 because remember, you're not broadcasting 365 days a year music. You don't need to pay the artist for their music. Okay? So that's a con. It is also a pro, but I'm giving you the gist of it, okay? I'm giving you the gist of it. Now, a lot of people ask me, hey, Yaya, is it easy to get on community radio? Community radio is full. It's usually full. And then when they do have a spot, it gets taken like that. So you need to be in. So you need to build your relationship with that station. Go to that station. Ask for a spot on that station. Start with 30 minutes on that station. But you also have to do your research on that station. It's a community radio station. Basically, I've done that before, and I found myself not having I didn't have the greatest communication with them to understand what they were doing at the time because things change at the community station. And yes, you can get a lot of good connections and a lot of great people that actually are on the station, but when the communication fails on one side or the other, on this case it was my side because I wasn't educated and trying to keep up with everything, and I just didn't have the time, and it kind of fell away, and that's fine. So, but again, community radio stations are great ways to get your podcast out there, to get your notoriety, to get everything going. I've reached over 280 million people with my podcast so far and counting. And it's just something that we have to keep on. So that's why I say podcasting is pretty much almost a full-time job when you consider the fact that you have to be on top of it all the time. All the time. Okay, so that's another one. So your communication skills have to be up and really, really good. You have to keep on top of it. Keep on top of it all the time. Okay, study and make sure you know your guests. That's going to be another thing. When you have guests on the show, and when you're having people who cook, people who write, people who do music, people who are entrepreneurs, or people that climb Mount Everest, I really don't care. You have to make sure you know who they are and what their names are. I'm very bad at pronouncing names sometimes. So what I will say is I'll say, oh, thank you so much for being on the show. Please tell everybody who you are and what you do, please. And then that gives me a chance to hear the name so that way I can go ahead and pronounce the name properly later on. A lot of times I don't want to say the name. I want to say the business because I want that business to be out there. So you have to formulate what you're going to do before you do it. You got to write it down. You got a book. You got to do something. You got to write the names down. You got to make sure you're in pocket. Okay, so this is a con, only because that's more time you have to put into your podcast. Now, if you're not willing to put time into the podcast, if you're not willing and you don't have time to put into a podcast, not every day, of course, but maybe you want to broadcast once a week. But I'm going to tell you right now, the con, these are all the cons. Now, they can be pros, but this is the con. This is called time. Time is your best friend and your worst enemy in podcasting, because you have to be on top of it. You can ask my husband. There have been times where I've shut myself into this room. I got my sound barriers. I got all kinds of different things going on here. And there have been times where I have shut myself in this room and not come out for hours. Because either I'm studying, I'm recording, I'm interviewing, I'm mixing, I'm mastering, I'm video editing, I'm writing people's names down, I'm studying things, and I'm in here for hours. So this is a dedicated thing. You just can't say, oh, I'm going to be a podcaster. You really could. I'm going to take that back. You could say that I'm just going to be a podcaster. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be a podcaster. And you start. If you do 1 day a week on podcasting, that's 4 times a month on podcasting, you have to determine for yourself if you're going to do an hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 to 25 minutes. These are the times. Now, the best times to podcast. When are the best times to podcast? This is how it works. Before people leave their homes, lunchtime, or when people get home. If you're going to do the night shift podcast, then it's 2 a.m. So these are different things that you have to study to know about. Okay? There's great times. Like right now is a great time for me to jump on here and actually do the 8 o'clock, because this is my time every night, 8 o'clock. I try to air an episode every night at 8. Lately, what has been happening is I've been going back and forth between YouTube and between my live shows to get this done. So these are all the cons. You have to study about this. You have to know about podcasting, because again, it's not just something that people do. Once you start this podcast, once you begin doing a podcast, people depend on you to be consistent with it. I suggest that you, if you're going to do it 1 time a week, that you record 4 shows, 4 all at once. Split them up, and that's your month. Then you can study this month for next month, okay? Because you have to be on top of it. And sometimes you do fall behind. Like right now, my podcasts are all in the editing stages. I got like 10 of them. And so I have to jump on here live because I had to tell you guys about podcasting. And this is something that people ask me all the time. They want me to tutor them and they want me. But let me tell you something. If I'm going to tutor people about podcasting, somebody's going to pay me some money to do it. I am not going to do it for free, you guys, because I just can't do that. Hi, Vincent. Hi, Jackson. All right. So podcasting cons. Those are all the cons. And it's time consuming. It's time consuming. Basically, being a podcaster is time consuming, and you have to study. You have to treat podcasting like your own radio business. You are a broadcaster. That's who you have become. Hi, William. You are a broadcasting network. You have a network. Because what happens is, when you go ahead and you say, okay, I'm going to podcast, right? Now iTunes jumps in and says, hey, we have a link in RSS feed. Just send that to us and we'll broadcast too while you're broadcasting there. So that's why when I come on, I say we're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Deezer, Vimeo, YouTube. We're on Podbean, Podcast, Buzzsprout. We're everywhere. Why? Because I've taken the time, remember I told you it was time consuming, to actually grab the RSS feed for my show, which after this show is done, will automatically shoot it out to over 100 other stations. It's a radio broadcast network. That's what this is. So if you want to be a podcaster, you're not just a podcaster. The bar, like I was talking to a young lady earlier, and she has a podcast as well. And she said to me, and you guys can get that radio, you can get that on the station. I'll put that up a little bit later. I have to edit the video. It'll be up on YouTube soon. But she is a podcaster, and she's also a musician. And she said that podcasting lowered the bar for everyone to get out there and talk about their passion and to interview people about their passions if that's something you want to do. She has a radio show on Live 365, 365 days a year, 7 days a week that she broadcasts all music. And she pays the artists for for their music being paid on there. So she pays ASCAP, she pays SESAC, she pays BMI, she pays for all that. She has her trademark, she has a FCC license, she has all of that. So this is not just a podcast. You're just not playing around, guys. You're just not playing around. This can make or break your business. It can make or break you. So if you want to be a podcaster and you want to do it, take it seriously. Okay? So those are all the cons. If you have any questions, I'm at 347-855-8209. Again, that number is 347-855-8209. I'll be here until I'm finished here on Facebook. So listen, those are all the cons of being a podcaster, for me at least. And it's mostly just time. And then you have to make sure that you're doing it right. Okay, so now there's other cons. Money. You do have to put money into your craft. You do have to pay. I pay every month for Blogtalk Radio. I pay every month for my station. I pay for my trademarks. Yaya Diamond is trademarked. Yaya Diamond's Dream Chasers Radio is a registered trademark. All of these are trademarks. I have an LLC. It's trademarked. It's a business. It's a business. It's a business. I make money with this, but it didn't come right away. It came because I was consistent enough to understand that you have to prove yourself. As a host, as someone who understands how to interview people, how to go about doing different things, how to be a host, how to be a broadcaster, I pay for my Vimeo account every year. Yes, I can teach you all of this. Yes, I can. I could. I can. I do consultations. I do. And I do have an online teaching platform that I'm getting together right now. But I just want to go over these things because a lot of people ask me the same questions. And yes, you can make money with podcasting. You can. Because every time someone goes and they listen to my show, like once this is done and they go and they listen to the show, I get money. I get paid. I get a direct deposit right into my bank account. It is what it is. It's not a lot of money, but it helps because every dime helps. Every penny helps. Every quarter, every nickel, every dollar. It helps because I have a budget. Yes, I do. So podcasting pros. Yay! Let's get to the pros, guys. Let's get to the pros because the cons are like, because the time is money, but you're not making money in the beginning. You're not going to make any money in the beginning. So there's that investment that you have to make. And a lot of times you can do the free programs. You can do everything free in the beginning, but your time is still not free. Your time is still not free. So let's go into podcasting pros. The pros are amazing. First of all, I have had so many wonderful people on my show. The former ladies of the Supreme, Sherry was on my show. I had the Commodores on my show. I was blessed to actually be on a different podcast, AMG, and interview Tito Jackson, and I got that done. I was so happy. I guess I was just excited. But that was fun. I'm able to interview Odell from the Contours. I have had so many wonderful people. I've had lately the connections that you make are amazing with podcasting. So you make connections with people. I had Raymond Barton, who I did the song with, actually was connected through the podcast, and that was amazing too, because now that's on, I don't know where it is, but it went up for a Grammy nomination on the Grammy ballot. So it was on the ballot, and that's amazing for me. I was like, wow, that's, so all of these things can happen while you're podcasting, but you do have to be consistent. So remember, the consistency kind of goes hand in hand with being successful at podcasting. So if you have any questions so far, I'm at 347-855-8209. That line is only live during the live broadcast. And once the live broadcast is over, that number goes away for a while. Okay, so the second thing that you can do to make money, not only to go ahead and distribute your podcast and have people listen to it, the second thing you can do is do consultations. You can also do, you can teach how to be a podcaster. You can consult, you can manage, you can do a lot of different things. What I do is I do interviews, and obviously those are not all free. That helps me keep my station up and running. It helps me with the maintenance on this, on Blogtalk, on Vimeo. I have websites that I have to maintain throughout the year, and that helps me with all of that. Those are the pros. It's a lot of fun. The editing is fun, talking to people, meeting different people, being a part of different people's lives at the time where we connect, where we meet, is an amazing adventure. It's great. I'm very thankful to have met so many thousands and thousands of people. It's just amazing. I think that podcasting is just a way to reach out and be inspired to, for yourself, because there's so many people out there that are doing different things, and they too are living their lives. And it's just a wonderful thing to kind of hook up and connect with them at that point in time and see what they're doing, and be encouraged, not only by you interviewing them, but them coming on the show with you. There's a lot of pros, a lot more pros than cons. I think that, but the con kind of sometimes can't outweigh the pro. Can you be super successful with podcasting? Yes, you can be. And I find myself very super successful with podcasting in the term that I love doing it right now. And there are different ways to monetize the podcast. And there's just different ways to do different things. Do you guys have any questions? You can actually go ahead and type it, if you're on Facebook, into the comment section, and I will definitely answer any questions you may have. So how to start a podcast. That's going to be the biggest thing. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit. So I do recommend that you start with actually interviewing people, or talking about the subjects that you like to talk about. If you love cooking, if you love sewing, whatever it is, starting a podcast. Now, you can start a vlog too on YouTube that is free. And if video is your thing and you want to do video, you can actually make sure that you're talking everything through and upload that to your podcast, as well as put it on your YouTube. So you guys, if you do see my YouTube, I am at youtube.com/Dream Chasers Radio. Please subscribe. If you guys subscribe and watch the content, I would actually be able to monetize. Okay, but I can't, because not everybody, my friends on Facebook, hello. Please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Dream Chasers Radio on YouTube. So how to start the podcast it's pretty simple. Make sure, first of all, that you're prepared. At least have 10 episodes prepared ahead of time, 5 to 10, before you start. Start off slow. Go one time a week at a certain time on a certain day. And that's when you're going to start off, and you're going to air, and you can build up from there. Now, I don't really like to suggest places that you can host your podcast to, only because, like I said, there's so many different places for you. Me personally, I do on blogtalkradio.com. That's blogtalkradio.com. And they do have a free version. I believe it's 15 or 30 minutes free. And you can broadcast every day. And you do have a call-in number. You'll have to do it. You can't. With the free version, you can't log in on the computer. You have to call in with your phone. But with the paid version, you can log in on the computer, or you can log in on your phone. And so this is just something that you can do. Make sure that you're doing your homework that you are logged in and that you know what you're going to talk about beforehand. All right, guys, so that's pretty much how to start a podcast. I think the main things are just to be prepared. And then if you need any more help, please don't hesitate to contact me at dreamchasersradio@gmail.com. That's dreamchasersradio@gmail.com. And I will love to be the person that helps you out. And yes, we will be starting a group soon on that. It's going to be paid because I need to make sure that I can keep everything going, and I want to. And so it won't be a lot, but $5-10 a month, but it will be good. It'll help me out. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube channel Dream Chasers Radio. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in on both Blogtalk Radio, Amazon Fire, and all the other places that I've posted this, as well as on my Facebook page. I love you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.